Chill. I love being a Nate Diaz fan. I know you do too. The reason I do is because you can always find yourself going down some crazy road of what if. I don't see Tony putting him out. Let's say Leon beats Kamaru for the second time. Do we get a Diaz Edwards 2 for the belt?
What difference does it make? Think of it in that terms, not the condescending way. I'm not condescending to you. I love what you said. I love that you said it. But I just want to ask you a little bit differently. What difference does it make? I mean, what are we fighting for? Some prestige, a little bit of money? Some guys want to talk about legacy. Really weird guys talk about their legacy, like the nerd that shows up after they graduated high school and they're at the football game wearing their Letterman's jacket. I mean, it's a real thing. Maybe that's a little bit the answer. Is it about contenderships? Is it about how you're going to be remembered? Or is it about what's most important, which is what do we do from here? Fighting is a job. And when you go to work, you want to be there on time and you don't want to be a clock watcher and you want the boss to give you a pat on the back. I understand those things. I love those things. I'll preach that to my kids. They're all important. The number one most important thing when you show up for work today is that you have a job to come to tomorrow. It trumps everything. It trumps doing an awesome job on the project. It trumps making your coworkers happy. It trumps dropping off donuts and a coffee in the boss's office. The number one thing is that you have a job to come to tomorrow. Can we all relate to that? So what do you do when you're leaving from here? Where does Ferguson want to go? That would be a very fair and fine question because we know Tony is still dedicated. We know that he's committed. That is what packing up and leaving home and going out to Albuquerque represents. It's very hard to be the new kid in class. Anywhere you go, your first day's tough. Doesn't matter if you're 38 years old and you're a former champion of the world. You've got to walk in the gym and you have to humble yourself and say, I don't have the answers. I didn't have the answers where I was, but I'm coming here because I think that you might have them. That's commitment. That's all I'm speaking to. We know that Tony still has a level of commitment. Nothing bad comes from being opposite Nate Diaz. And nobody's ever got the jump on Nate Diaz whose career didn't skyrocket. That's just the truth. Go back historically, look at somebody to get their hand raised over Nate Diaz, and then look at what happened to them next. Simple statement by me, but accurate. Nothing bad comes from fighting Nate Diaz. Now, if you look at Nate, we're given very limited information, but we, the audience, keep thinking that we have all the answers. I mean, we were certain as recently as a month ago that he wants to fulfill his UFC contract so that he can go and fight Jake Paul. We all believed that. But then when we were confronted with the fact that Jake Paul is doing some business with Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz is allegedly applying for a promoter's license of his own, all of a sudden we go, we really don't know what he's doing. We really, truly don't know what he's doing. But if you save the day, you're still a white knight. We've had people step in and save cards before. This event is wildly different without Nate Diaz and without Nate's participation. And that actually didn't have anything to do with the win or the loss, did it, guys? Because he was a 12-1 underdog, and this arena sold out anyway with him being the fan favorite. It's just something unique. It's something special. 18 years and a brother. There's a lot of things that will lend to this, but when you get there, you're an anomaly, and what do you want to do with it? I mean, talk about, will Nate go on and fight for a championship? From what we're told is Nate is not even going to re-sign with the organization. But then we're confronted with the fact that Nate isn't angry with the organization because it comes out that Nate, as part of his negotiation, tried to get 10 of his friends signed. Right? You can't tell me you don't like a pizza somewhere. When you then tell me that 10 of your most important people, you all had them go there to get a slice. So now we really don't know. We don't know what Nate's upset about. We don't know what he's bothered about. We know he's being a knight in Shining Arbor. Now, in all fairness, Tony gets that same credit. Nate was planning on fighting at this weight class. Nate was planning to be the last fight of the night. Nate was planning to have a duration of up to 25 minutes. We're not giving Tony the credit, though, for stepping into that situation. We're giving it to Nate. That might be right at that that might be wrong. But what happens between those two guys, I must tell you, it's hard for me to envision a conversation that we're having Monday morning where we're not looking forward to what Nate does next. Generally, Monday mornings are reserved for victors. And this entire sport is about where do we go from here? The entire thing is where do we go from here? Where is our next conflict, and at what date can we get conflict resolution? That is what the business of MMA is, conflict with conflict resolution on a specific date. I can't close my eyes and imagine in my crystal ball that on Monday, regardless of circumstance or happenstance, that we aren't all interested in what Nate does next. Can you? If Nate goes out and gets stopped, do you really think that you're going to care less about what he does next? All right, that's the business. That's what you're doing all of this for. Yeah, you get a little prestige. Yeah, you get a little money. Every now and then a championship comes around. Every now and then an opportunity comes around. These guys are the main event of a pay-per-view. There's nowhere higher to go. I get how important title fights are, and please don't think that I would ever dismiss this, but I have seen a number of title fights where the person fighting for the title is not in the main event. Nothing trumps main event. So where does Nate go? I mean, what kind of bump do you want to give him? What kind of elevation can you give him? Now let's take a look at Tony. If Tony goes out in a main event and he's to get a win over Diaz, does Tony return to a pay-per-view main event, which is generally reserved for championship matches or number one contenders matches? And that's hard to do. There's only 12 pay-per-views in a year. There's 556 athletes under contract. It's a very hard spot to get, but this is the world of promotion, which means you go up. More, higher. Whether that's money, whether that's prestige, whether that's placements on a card, where it's a ranking in a mythical room done at 9 a.m. by people that we don't even know their name. You got to go up. That's promotion. So where does Tony go? About what happens, I mean, listen, there's not a whole lot of balls in the air. So we can sit around and talk about TKO and KO and disqualification. We can talk about all of this. Look, it's left or right. Did you win or didn't you? Come Monday morning, that's the only thing that it's about. Unless you came in and saved the day. The girl's being attacked by 5 guys, and you're by yourself, and you go over there to help her, and then they end up whipping your ass. You're still a hero. There's something about saving the day. There's something that's interesting about that. This card is not the same without Nate Diaz. This card's fine. There's some good talent on there. But Chimaev was a 12-1 favorite, and Chimaev is a massive star. But if you had to choose of who you get to see compete, and you can only choose one, you could see Chimaev, and I'll set the table for you, in what might be a number one contenders match. Ooh, that's going to be legendary someday. Someday, looking back at the career, and that's the one that Chimaev had to win to spring into the big time. That's going to look very beautiful. That's going to be like a fine wine. But it's going to be across the table from Nate Diaz's last UFC performance. And I don't know that I need to tell you their opponents are going to be. I think if I just offer you that, one of the matches along the way for a popular up-and-comer versus the last time you're going to see Diaz in the octagon, there's a difference. There just is. And there's only a couple of ways that this can go. I must tell you, I have the courage to make picks, okay? I'm not Bardia Helmley. I don't get paid to do it, but I have the courage to sit over here and share with you who I think's going to win. I don't lack that courage now. friendships and relationships don't get in the way of me coming over here and telling you who I think's going to win an ass whipping contest. I need a little bit of time. I'll get there. Nate Diaz staying in a 5-round contest that he thought was going to be 5 rounds on one hand is an advantage. Tony Ferguson, though, right? What do we know about life, guys? What goes up must come down. When you're a main eventer and you're fighting for championships and you're either fighting former world champions or you're fighting current champions nonstop, which is the story of Tony's life. When you got to come in and do anything less than what you're used to, how are you going to respond? Do you care enough? Do you love it enough? Can you get it up enough? Well, guess what? He's not confronted with that now. T-Ferg is back in the spotlight. Massive opportunity. The X's and O's crossed each other out. The rankings crossed each other. For goodness sakes, they've done the same thing. They both got new jiu-jitsu. Oh, guess what? They both got black belts. They both love the sport to the point that they own their own gyms and became coaches. Okay, great. They both entered the Ultimate Fighter on different seasons. They both are champions. There's a handful of guys. You go grab RDA. Give me another name. Somebody that's a 55er and a 70 simultaneously. It's not the same thing to fight at 55 and then go become a 170 pounder. That's not the same thing. To be a 55er, to go to 70, to come back to 55, and then be willing to bounce up to 70. To cover the spread 2 weight classes at the same time. It's a rare thing. Everybody wants to talk about pound for pound. Who's the pound for pound best? There's only a few guys with the balls to actually go do it regardless of the pounds. And you found 2 of them. I mean, everywhere we go, we cross each other out. Every advantage that you could think that you're going to give Nate, you can see how it could serve Tony. Nate Diaz was a 12-1 underdog for this weekend yesterday. He's now at DraftKings, a slight favorite. When you put all of that in your computer and you spit out the answer, I'll be curious what you come to. There's a lot of us out there and there's a lot of viewers out there. I think that we're going to come to different equations. But you're not asking me who I think's going to win. That's not what your question was. You're asking me what happens for the winner. And when you're the main event of a pay-per-view in a sold-out arena, I would present it back to you and say, what difference does it make?